He forgot our anniversary, then laughed. It's not like we're married. I still have options. I just said noted. That night I packed my things, took my name off the lease and reversed every transfer. By morning his mom called me 32 times and yelled, "We're not married. I still have options." He actually said that, grinned, like he was proud of it. I had just asked if he remembered what today was. There was a pause, that kind where you're giving someone a moment to pull the right answer out of thin air. But no, he leaned back in his chair, headset half off, and dropped that line like it was clever. Like I was lucky to have had his time at all, I said, duly noted. Then turned around and went straight to the bedroom. No drama, no yelling. I zipped up my suitcase, packed only the things I had bought with my own money, which turned out to be nearly everything. I left the clothes he liked on me. Left the notes I used to write him, the little ones I'd hide in his drawers or tape to his gaming monitor before big interviews. Not that he ever followed through with those interviews. He hadn't worked in 2 years. He'd stopped trying after the first couple of rejections, then just gave up. I took double shifts, covered rent, paid utilities. But please, listen, I became his comfort blanket while he sank deeper into that couch, deeper into his screens, and somehow convinced himself that effort was optional. The part that still stings, I really tried to be kind. I avoided things he didn't like. I laughed at jokes that weren't funny. I stopped seeing my friends because he said they were a bad influence. I chipped away at myself to make things easier for him. I thought love meant being patient while someone got their act together. Turns out that patience just became his excuse not to. I took my name up that night, canceled the internet and the streaming accounts, transferred the utilities to his name, which would be a fun surprise when the bills came due, cleared out the savings I had built up. Mostly mine anyway. I left the keys on the kitchen counter next to the little cake I had bought from that overpriced bakery he used to love. Then I drove to my parents' place. They live about 2 hours away, long enough to make me feel like I was in another life. By morning I had 32 missed calls from his mother. The voicemail started with fake concern. Are you okay? What happened then? They spiraled. You're selfish. You're destroying him. I didn't. And he listened to the last few. One of them was just her screaming. My mom made coffee like nothing had happened. And my dad asked if I wanted to talk, and then gradually they both started pushing. Maybe you should call him. Maybe this was too much. Maybe he gave up too quickly. They didn't know I'd been paying the and for nearly 2 years that I covered his phone bill, that he'd buy new games instead of groceries, that he forgot my birthday last year too, and I let it slide, that I had been quietly breaking for Mondis, and now I was being told I overreacted. But I wasn't just leaving him. That would have been too and inteche. So I know something inside me clicked that night, something cold and sharp. I realized I had given everything to someone who thought I was optional, so I was going to take back what was mine. Not just the or the freedom, my sense of self, my peace, and maybe a little revenge. Not the loud kind. The key. Did you never see coming until your safe whole house is hollowed out from the inside? And this was just the beginning. The calls didn't stop. His mother started leaving messages like she was narrating a soap opera. He's not eating. He hasn't left the couch. He's heartbroken. You don't just do this to someone you love, right? Because someone who's hates. Heartbroken definitely spends the next day playing 12 hours of Call of Duty and posting memes about dodging bullets on Facebook. I didn't reply, not to her, not to him. I muted my phone and tried to breathe. My childhood room felt like a cage, but at least it was quiet until the knock on the door. My mom came in with a soft voice, and a plate of toast like that was supposed to fix 3 years of exhaustion. She said maybe I acted too fast, that maybe he was going through something I didn't understand. My dad chimed in later with his classic line, relationships are about weathering storms. I wanted to too. Cream. I had been stuck in a storm for years while everyone else sat inside, sipping hot cocoa. By the 3rd day, I realized they weren't just trying to comfort me, they were actively pushing me to go back. My mom even called his mom to get her side. She said they both agreed we should sit down and talk. This was some normal breakup and I just needed to communicate better. I felt like I was going crazy. Then came the text from him, just 3 words. You ruined everything. No apology, no reflection, just be lame. But I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I already had a plan forming in the back of my mind. Revenge in the dramatic movie way. Nothing illegal, nothing cruel. Just precise surgical strikes I knew. His patterns, I knew exactly where it would hurt. I knew the cracks in his fake confidence, and I was going to use all of it. But first, I needed space. Real space. I started looking for jobs out of state, sent UT resumes to cities where no one knew my name, where his mother's voice wouldn't echo in my inbox. Found a listing in Colorado that felt like possibility, a marketing position with housing assistance. I applied that night, didn't tell anyone. Meanwhile, my parents started making plans to host dinner with his family. Said it would help clear the air, help everyone move forward. I smiled, nodded, said I'd think about it, but in the back of my mind the clock had already started ticking. I wasn't just leaving this relationship, I was about to disappear from all of them. They set the dinner like a peace summit. My mom told me 3 times it would be just a conversation. She put out her good place mats, the ones with little embroidered leaves she only used for holidays. My dad grilled chicken in 34° weather because apparently dry meat could fix my broken relationship. I didn't argue. I watched the performance unfold like I was a guest at someone else's show. They arrived early. His mom swept in said Ika senator on campaign, fake smile locked in place. His dad gave a nod and went straight for the B. You're cooler. And then there was him in a button up he hadn't worn since his cousin's wedding, looking like he'd finally noticed his own reflection. He tried to hug me. I told him I had a headache, which wasn't a lie. The table conversation was torture. His mom kept saying things like, you don't just throw away 3 years, and men sometimes need a little more time to grow. My mom chimed in with gems about how no one's perfect, and you always seemed good together. My dad was quiet, but every time I caught his eye, he looked away like I was doing something shameful him. He sat there silent like a misunderstood poet waiting for his cue. It came during dessert, just after my mom brought out a pie. None of us wanted. He said carefully. I know I messed up, but I'm trying now. I've been applying to jobs. I even updated my resume. I need you. And that was the moment everyone turned toward me like I was holding a devil. Neop. To Nader, they were waiting for me to soften, to forgive, to return to my role in their narrative, the odd girlfriend who forgives too easily, who lets people off the hook just because they say they're sore. I excused myself and went to the bathroom, shut the door, and sat on the edge of the tub that was W. And I Temakan W. Here it hit me. They didn't want me to be happy. They wanted me to be manageable. They wanted the story to go back to something they understood. Girl sacrifices boy, improves, everyone claps. They didn't know what it was like, the small grinding erosion of doing everything for someone who gave you nothing. Mac of being made to feel like loving someone meant you had to lose yourself a little more every day. They saw a breakup. I saw a slow escape from drowning. I splashed cold water on my face, walked back. UT smiled, nodded, said I'd think about it just enough to get through the night. But something changed. After that night I got the email, a reply from Colorado, interview scheduled Thursday. It was happy. The next morning I started selling off what little was mine, and worth anything, old designer bags and used electronics, even a watch. He'd bought Mither. He'd bought number thing atronic. During one of his rare employed months, I told my parents I needed space. Started spending more time at the library, at coffee shops, anywhere that wasn't home. His text started again too. First sweet and frustrated, then accusing. He asked if I'd seen the new couch he bought. Said he was turning things round, that his new temp job was a sign like a $15 an hour warehouse shift, fixed 3 hours of being ignored. I didn't answer because I wasn't just leaving him. I was leaving all of them. The interview in Colorado wasn't just a job interview. Felt like a rescue mission. I told my pit. As visiting an old friend from college, my mom seemed suspicious, but didn't press. Maybe she was just relieved I was smiling again. I packed light, one carry, dressed like I belonged somewhere else, somewhere brighter. I drove 3 hours to the airport in my dad's car, with the windows down, the wind cold and clean. Stopped me. The company flew me out a full-day interview, new office. Smell glass walls, plants. Thriving in every corner. They gave me water in a real glass. The team was sharp, focused, kind. They didn't ask about gaps in my resume. They didn't care if I was married or single. They wanted to know what I built, how I solved problems, what I looked at. Chaos. I gave them answers I hadn't heard myself say in years. That night at the O's Hotel, I lay on the bed in the dark, phone silent on the nightstand. I felt a strange ache in my chest. Not sadness, just space, like something heavy had been lifted, and now I didn't know what to do with the lightness. By the time I landed back home, I had the offer letter in my inbox, $71,000 a year plus a signing bonus plus a relocation package. I stood still in the airport hallway, scrolling through the details over and over, rereading the contract like it might disappear. No one had ever given me something without asking me to shrink first. I didn't go home. I drove to a 24-hour diner and ordered pancakes. I made a list on a napkin of everything I needed to do. Cancel things, transfer things, burn things down carefully. I found about one bedroom in Colorado Springs that looked over a quiet street. Nothing. Clean, close to the office. I signed the lease that night, paid the deposit with the bonus. I scheduled a moving company for the following week and told them I didn't need much, just a few boxes, 2 suitcases, and the blanket my grandmother made me when I left for college. The next few days were quiet but strategic. I deleted our shared cloud account. The Spotify family plan closed out the Amazon Prime we shared, logged him out of every password. I completely provocation. Had stored. I opened a new bank account, ordered new cards, changed my phone number, updated all my contacts manually. Not a single thing would follow me. I told my parents last we were eating dinner my mom was knocking about something she saw on Facebook, and I just said I'm moving to Colorado. I start next month. They froze. My dad put down his fork. My mom blinked twice like she didn't understand the language I was speaking. I told them about the job, the apartment, the date I didn't ask for. Approval. I didn't offer room for discussion, my mom said, and you weren't going to tell us. I said, I just did. Later that night I heard her on the phone with his mother. I didn't catch every word, but I heard enough. Knew that I was leaving, that it was sudden, that maybe they should reach out. I switched my phone to airplane mode, but he showed up anyway 2 nights before I left, pulled up in a friend's borrowed car wall. Mass. Kata right up the driveway like nothing had happened. I didn't answer the door. He texted, instead you were. Just leaving after everything. Everything he meant, the 3 years I spent begging for effort. The birthdays forgotten. The rent covered without thanks. The dinners cooked, cleaned, ignored. The nights I see. Ride quietly beside him while he snored. He meant everything I did while he coasted. I didn't reply, and the movers came. I was ready. I didn't leave a note, no goodbye text, no explanation, just 2 suitcases. 1 box and a blanket. I got in my car and drove to the airport with a calm I hadn't felt in years. And when the plane took off, I looked out the window and thought, no forwarding address. Colorado was quiet in a way that made me feel like I was listening to myself for the first time in years. The apartment was smaller than the listing made it look, and the carpet was a little stained near the window, but it was mine. I slept on a mattress, on a fart. And the floor for the first 2 weeks, ate microwave meals, and watched the sun hit the mountains through half. Closed blinds felt like breathing after holding it too long. The job was better than I imagined. My manager respected boundaries. My team worked hard and went home at 5. No one asked personal questions. No one cared that I didn't talk much. I started walking to work just to feel my legs move again. I had been gone 3 weeks when the first unexpected thing happened. I got a letter, not from him, from his ex. It was handwritten on notebook paper, folded 4 times, no return address, just my name spelled right in the city. The handwriting was familiar, not hers, but his. She must have taken it from something old. I almost didn't open it. Inside was a note short. I left him too. 3 years before you. I watched him destroy you the same way he destroyed me. I'm sorry. I didn't warn you sooner. But I'm glad you got out. A photo inside the envelope. An old one, him and her on a beach somewhere. He looked exactly the same, that grin, like he just said something no one else understood. She had her arm around him, and her eyes were tired in the way mine had been. I stared at the letter for a long time that night. I changed the locks, called my landlord the next, paid extra to have a security system installed. I stopped using my real name at the coffee shop, because here's the thing, when someone's convinced they own you, walking away feels like theft to them. And I had stolen something big. My silence, my absence, my life. A week later, I found out he was in town. I office, just a glimpse his back, the way he stammered like nothing can touch him. I ducked before he turned. I hadn't told anyone where I went, not even my coworkers. No social media, no mail. Forwarding nothing, so how did he find me? I checked my work email that night. Buried in the junk folder was a message from an unknown address. No name, just you. Can run, but you still owe me. I forwarded it to my manager, claimed it was a spam threat, and they tightened our office firewall, but I knew he wasn't done, and this wasn't over. But neither was I. The next morning, I took a different route to work, past a dog park I hadn't noticed before. I didn't stop walking until I was a block past my building, just in case anyone was watching. I'd never lived like that. On alert, scanning every face, but that email burned in the back of my skull. I didn't tell anyone, not work, not the landlord, not even the nice barista who always gave me a smile like she thought we might be friends. I wasn't sure who to trust. I had run clean, but somehow he still found a thread to pull. Then something else. I got a key in the mail. No note, no return address. Just a tiny silver key in a padded envelope. Took it to the post office. First, nothing. Then to the library's public lockers. No luck. I almost tossed it in the trash, but curiosity eats quietly. And by the weekend, I was checking every place I could think of. Bus station lockers, gym lockers, train station, until finally I found it. A lockbox fit cleanly inside was a flash drive. That's it. Well, ordinary, almost left it there. I should have, but I didn't. Back at home, I plugged it into an old laptop I hadn't used in months. It booted slowly like it didn't want to be part of this either. The drive contained one folder, my name inside, photos, screenshots, voicemails, transcripts of messages I had sent him over the years, voice notes I forgot existed, typed out word for word, a full spreadsheet labeled behavioral log with dates, moods, even a column for probable manipulation tactics. Heavy. He had been documenting me, not out of affection, not even out of obsession, like he was studying a subject for future use. At the very bottom, a folder called Trigger Protocol, password protected. I ejected the drive and drove straight to the nearest lake, tossed it into the water, and didn't wait to see it sink. That night, I booked a new apartment. Fake name. I called in sick the next morning and told HR I needed a week off for family matters. I packed everything again, not out of fear but strategy. He had come to find me, but I wasn't running anymore. I left a note with the landlord saying thank you. No forwarding address again, but this time I left something else behind too. A small envelope taped under the sink, inside photos of him, old screenshots, a copy of the behavioral log. All printed, all documented, no threats, just facts, because people like him count on silence, on shame. I figured if he ever came back, it would be nice if someone else knew what they were looking at. I moved across town, changed my hair, got a new job at a place with fewer windows, and every morning I lock the door, double-check the handle, and walk into a life that finally feels like mine. And if he ever finds me again, he won't find the version of me he broke. He'll find the one that built herself back bone by bone. And this time I'll be